Hi, my name is Nala Chane. Please don't forget to hit the subscribe button. I'm working for the company called Healthy by Choice. Today, I'm gonna talk about a little bit of vegan or plant-based. So in case you are a chef of plant-based or vegan, this is definitely for you. Let's talk about vegan pastry essentials or plant-based pastry essentials. I'm a vegan chef by profession. My name is Nala Chane. You're welcome to my YouTube channel, Baking Techniques. Let's talk about baking techniques. With baking, we need to understand the principles of chemistry and physics behind. It's really not easy these days to be a plant-based or vegan because you do not know what to replace what with what. With baking techniques, we need to understand the principles of chemistry and physics behind. They say baking is science while cooking is an art. Cooking is so much intuitive. You add this and that and then you come with nice recipes, but with baking it's a bit different. You need science. Now what you need to learn? You need to learn about whatever you want to make, whether you want to make lemon swirl, Christmas tart, or whatever you call it. Sponge cakes, how do you work on yeast with? After watching this video, our aim is for you to learn how to make your own recipes and learn all the techniques of baking and cooking. Okay, maybe let's start with the shopping list. When you're baking, let's start with baking with shopping, preparing to bake something, whether a cake or bread or muffins or scones or lemon swirls or your cinnamon swirls or your tart. You need to buy fresh yeast. Fresh yeast is also known as dry yeast. It is making a little better when it comes to raising because it's a raising agent. And then you also need plant-based milk, any flavor of your choice. You can have soya milk, coconut milk, cashew milk, almond milk, rice milk, oat milk, you name them. Then you will also need flour. When it comes to cakes and bread or whatever, you can substitute your flour with your whole grain flour. The more you use the whole grain flour, the more water you will need. That is the technique of baking. That's where the difference is. Then sugar. For sugar, when it comes to cake baking, we have icing sugar. You can make your own icing sugar or you can buy it from the shops. The organic ones, they are all available. Or you can take the granulated sugar and blend it to make your icing sugar. However, let's remember one thing, that cakes are for treats. You can't bake cake every day. I mean, cake is once in a while thing while you are craving sweet thing and you are really trying to satisfy your sweet tooth. Now let's substitute the ingredients. Because we are vegan and plant-based, what do we substitute eggs for? First of all, maybe let's explain what an egg does when it comes to baking. It is a source of binding. It makes the dough fluffier. It gives color, taste. It also serves as a leavening. So having eggs when it comes to baking, it is much essential. Now, what do you replace an egg with? How can you substitute an egg? Vegan substitution. Maybe let's first get this. If you want to substitute an egg, you need to first understand what do you want to do with that substitution. Remember, I said to you, egg can work as an emulsion, coagulation agent, color, taste. It makes the dough fluffier. So you can't get everything in one substitution. I'll give you an example. If I substitute an egg with flakes, for instance, I can't whip egg flakes or chia flakes. I can't whip. I can only use that as a binding agent. Now let's get into substitutions. For whipping, we can only use baking soda plus apple cider vinegar. When they are combined, you can whip them and they will give you the nice texture just like an egg. The second one, we can use the coconut cream. It's vegan friendly. We can also use the Olay cream. It is so nice. You can just whip it with your hand whipping machine, or you can whisk it for a longer time, or maybe you can blend it on a high-speed blender. Now, when we want to substitute an egg when it comes to emulsifying, when we emulsify, what do we actually do? We can use the beans, the legumes, we mash them. They're gonna give us that nice texture. We can use tofu, the firm one. We can use soya milk because it is from the bean. We can use the fruit purees, maybe your applesauce or your banana. We can use coconut milk as well. It can also emulsify when it comes to baking. One thing I'm forgetting about emulsifying when you're baking, you can also use the vegan yogurt, the Greek yogurt, vegan yogurt. They are available in some stores. And then lastly, we can use aquafaba. It is so powerful, it is gonna emulsify when you are baking. Then when we calculate, when we are baking and substituting an egg, when we want to calculate the coagulation agent, we definitely gonna use tofu, soya milk, coconut milk, aquafaba, psyllium husk powder, and I'm forgetting this, but I'll remember it. And then now baking, as we had said, it's a science. It's a technique that you need to learn. It connects with chemistry. That's what you need to understand and to learn when it comes to baking. Okay, now let's unpack our presentation a bit. Maybe let's make those who are listening now aware of the equivalents and egg equivalents. For instance, half ripe banana, the medium one, half medium ripe banana is equivalent to 1 egg. Please don't forget that. 60 to 70 grams of applesauce is equivalent to 1. Oh, this coagulation agent that I was forgetting, which is the substitution of an egg, it is gram or chickpea flour. Chickpea flour is one of the most powerful coagulating agents. So please, let's make use of it if we want to coagulate in our bakings. Now, what is the measurement of a gram or chickpea flour? 1 tablespoon of chickpea flour, mix it with 2 full tablespoons of water. It is equivalent to 1 egg. Please go test it. And then 1 teaspoon of flax seeds, which is powder. The flax seed powder at this juncture, 1 full tablespoon of flax seeds. Mix it with 2 tablespoons of water. It is equivalent to 1 egg. 1 tablespoon of chia seeds, whether they are ground or not, it doesn't matter really, because chia seeds, they are the smallest seeds. And if you mix them with 2 tablespoons of water, it is definitely gonna give you an equivalent of 1 egg. So if you happen to use 3 eggs, it means that you're gonna take 3 tablespoons of chia seeds with 6 tablespoons of water, and then soak it for few minutes before you start using it, so that it can give you that texture of an egg. Then 1 full tablespoon of soya flour or soya milk. Mix it with 2 full tablespoons of water, cold water. It is equivalent to 1 egg. Then for aquafaba, we just add 3 full tablespoons. We don't mix them with anything. That is equivalent to 1. Okay, and then remember, I talked about baking soda earlier on. Baking soda, please opt for the agent, which is baking soda in this case, that is not high in acid. We don't prefer using acidic things because they are not healthy. For your health purposes, please use the cream of tartar. However, if you feel comfortable with the baking soda, you can use it. So the equivalent of an egg when it comes to baking soda, you take 1 teaspoon of baking soda, mix it with 1 tablespoon of apple cider vinegar. I use apple cider vinegar, the one that is written unfiltered with the mother bacteria, because it is too beneficial. So that is the equivalent of an egg. Now, when it comes to tofu, we use the silken tofu or the soft tofu. Now it's 60 to 70 grams of tofu. It is equivalent to 1 egg. Remember, it has to be blended first, because if it's silken, it might cause some lumps. So your whatever you're baking will be lumpy. To avoid that, you need to blend it first. I'd like to educate you about 3 types of leavening agents. Number 1, it's baking soda. Number 2, it's baking powder. Then number 3, it's yeast. Now, when it comes to yeast, remember I talked about the fresh yeast. If you prefer to use the dry yeast, you have to use the information of the packaging and check which one are you using. So if you're using the fresh yeast, the dried yeast, you'll have to use half of what you've used. Let's say for instance, if you have 1 teaspoon of the fresh yeast, you'll have to use half teaspoon of the dried yeast. Now, in all these leavening types, we have 3 types. We have the biological leavening type, which is the yeast. We have the chemicalized, which is the baking soda, and then we have got the physical, which is no egg. Then we have the physical type, the last one, which is the 3rd one. The physical type, which is an egg to egg, which is cooperate. For instance, the puff pastry, if you put it in an oven, it will definitely raise. Now, baking soda, which gives a special taste, which is acid or citric, and also a starch. By the way, you need to add the starch when it comes to baking. It will help you to separate between the baking soda and the acid. Otherwise, it will get okay. The last one when it comes to physical type, it's baking powder, which is conventional. Please do not use baking powder because it is not good for your health. Well, the results are the same. It's totally up to you. If you want to substitute the baking powder, please use cream of tartar. At least it's less acidic than the baking powder. Thank you so much for watching. I hope I've made a difference to someone out there. Please don't forget to hit the subscribe button and share this video so that you can see these videos more often. Goodbye.